Hey everybody, Steve DeLaviaga, Steve Steps to Success. I love this one we're going to talk about. It's when do you as a leader step back in to fix what is becoming challenging? Because here's the reality, the easy got hard. People had gotten away with what I call fat cat syndrome. Things were easy for the last 8, 10 years, and then last year comes along. Oh my gosh, 3.8 million transactions, almost 1.5 million less than the year before. Things got harder. Everybody thought real estate was just going to keep going up forever, which it never does. And then all of a sudden, what worked, all of a sudden didn't work. What had been commonplace and easy, all of a sudden, people are quitting. You're losing coaching clients. You're losing lead clients. You can't get consumers to engage in your ads anymore. You're doing way less transactions, but you got all these people. Here's the reality. As a leader, part of the very big gift of leading is you have to know the things you can never outsource or give away. I always say, like saying when I was raising kids, there are flesh wounds, which is a little jab here or something they should learn. It's a scratch on their shoulder, or there's mortal wounds, a knife to a heart. You never want a child, while they're learning something, to have a mortal wound, where they do something they can never, ever get out of that affects the rest of their life. But I would let our kids fail at things that I thought were flesh wounds so they would learn. Because when they learned it a different way than when I told them they couldn't do something, or told them that would be a bad idea, or told them that wouldn't be the result they wanted. They never learned it as well as when they went and did it and had to live with the repercussion of it. But you got to protect them from mortal wounds versus flesh wounds. Leading is the exact same way. Things that are important in leadership, those are things like, in my world, lead generation, and the lead source product you put out has to bear your name and be worthy of a math equation that your agents can do over and over and over again and win. And if they choose not to do it, you can say, well, I gave you the math equation, you chose not to do it, therefore it did not work. But if you do our equation with our process, it will absolutely work. That's something that you have to own as an owner, as a leader. The how people go about things sometimes, that's more of the flesh wound learning. Let me ask yourself, in your business, what are your flesh wound tasks versus your mortal wound tasks? What are the things you can never give up? I'm going to argue it's culture. I'm going to argue it's the core component of your business that is your brand. So whatever that core component is that makes up your brand, you can't outsource that. You can't level 7 that. You can't have somebody else do that while you're busy. You got to own culture and the one thing that makes your brand and why. And then 3, you got to own the acquisition and the retention of talent. Those 3 things will never, ever, ever change in any leadership position. Now, if you found yourself, because things were easy and we got fat cat syndrome, oh my gosh, oh, that mouse is way over there on the other side. I'll get that one later. Oh my gosh, that mouse, well, that's a little closer, but that mouse is a little skinny. We'll look for a little bigger mouse next time it comes through. Now all of a sudden, we're way down in transactions. You got to get every single mouse that runs in that alley. You want to be an alley cat, jumping on every single one, because now you need every transaction. You need every lead to convert. You need to make sure you've got the best process attached to all of it. So what are you going to jump back into in your business such that you could go ahead and make sure that it leads? Because see, the other thing that leaders got to figure out is, how much runway do I give people? Because lots of times, and I've seen both, where the leader comes back in, fires the people, blames them for not doing what they're supposed to do, and they hire a new set of people, and 6 months later, exact same problem, and fire those. When you as the leader are the common denominator in the problem, you're probably the problem. Secondly, how much runway will you allow something to go before you jump back in and try to fix it? These are things you got to look at on the front end. I tend to let things go, offer advice and knowledge until such time as the business has risk to the employees involved in it. Then I can no longer do that anymore. And I've got to now become the person that steps back in and is involved and engaged and oversees that until such time as it gets better. I don't blame the employee for that, or the person I had in charge of that. The truth is, I gave enough runway. It wasn't the result we wanted. I need to figure out why, and it might be that person needed to learn a certain skill, or it might be I need a new person. I will say this, if you don't understand as a leader the 3 things we talked about, early on your brand, the core component or competency that's necessary such that you can create the culture you want, and then recruiting and retaining talent. If you don't have those three things, you can't outsource any of that. It's not going to matter who you have running it, because no matter what, they won't be as good as you. And if they are, then you should retire, go lay on a beach, and enjoy yourself. Otherwise, I'd rather you stand up, get back in the game, and start doing the thing. We all want to outsource stuff, outsource the thing. Guess what? You can't. You're going to have to actually do the thing. And in leadership, you can't outsource culture. You can't outsource brand. You can't outsource recruiting and retaining talent. That, my friends, is your job.